When she first touched water in 1919, Nagato was a message in steel. Forged in the rising tide of Japan's imperial ambitions, she was the first battleship in the world to carry 16-inch guns, placing her ahead of every naval power in sheer gunnery. At over 700 feet long, and driven by massive turbines, she cut through the sea with grace uncommon for a battleship of her size. Her top speed exceeded 26 knots, fast enough to outrun and outgun many of her contemporaries. Nagato wasn't designed to follow. She was built to lead. For 2 decades, she stood at the center of the Imperial Japanese Navy's doctrine of decisive battle, a single, titanic clash where battleships like Nagato would cripple the enemy fleet in one night of thunder and fire. Every upgrade reflected this vision, from thicker armor and a rebuilt superstructure to advanced optics and rangefinders. By the late 1930s, her silhouette had become iconic: the towering pagoda mast, the wide armored hull, and the gleam of steel barrels trained toward the horizon. She was power made visible. And in 1941, that power was placed under the command of one man, Admiral Yamamoto, architect of Japan's naval war plan. From Nagato's flag bridge, he commanded the combined fleet. And it was from her radio room, on December 2nd, that the words "Climb Mount Nitakaka" were transmitted, the coded order to begin the attack on Pearl Harbor. That single message would change the course of the 20th century. Yet for all her might, Nagato would not sail with the carriers that launched the strike. The old doctrine still held firm. Battleships were to be preserved for a climactic battle yet to come. So while Japan swept across the Pacific in the war's opening months, Nagato remained close to home waters, waiting for a fight that never came. She spent 1942 and 1943 in a state of readiness. Modern, deadly, but idle. Her massive guns were cold. Her decks quiet, and the sea around her increasingly uncertain. But soon, the tides of war would shift, and Nagato would be forced to leave the shadows. By mid-1944, Japan's war machine was crumbling. Carriers had been sunk. Fuel was scarce. And the grand battle the admirals had long imagined was becoming a fantasy. But Nagato was still afloat, aging, yet unbroken. In June 1944, she was sent into action during the Battle of the Philippine Sea, a last-ditch attempt to halt the advancing American fleet. But the sky was ruled by American planes, and the Japanese force was crushed before Nagato's big guns ever fired. Then came October, Leyte Gulf. The largest naval battle in history. Nagato was placed in Vice Admiral Tokeo Kurita's center force, tasked with breaking through the central Philippines to attack U.S. invasion forces. She sailed through the narrow Sibuyan Sea, where waves of American aircraft fell upon the fleet. Her sister ship, Yamato, absorbed bomb after bomb. The heavy cruiser Musashi was sunk. Nagato survived. Battered, but alive. Then, in the Battle off Samar, she faced her first real surface combat. It should have been a slaughter, battleships versus American escort carriers and destroyers. But it wasn't. The American crews fought like cornered wolves, and the Japanese force hesitated. Smoke and confusion filled the sea. Nagato's massive guns finally roared to life, targeting light ships and screening vessels. But the attack faltered. Fearful of airstrikes and low on coordination, Kurita ordered the retreat. The chance to destroy the American beachhead was lost, and Nagato turned for home. After Leyte, Japan's battleships were no longer the tip of the spear. There was no fuel, no escort, and nowhere left for them to run. By 1945, Nagato was anchored in Yokosuka harbor, stripped of crew, her remaining ammunition scavenged for coastal defense. Her guns, once the largest afloat, were used to fire at incoming bombers. She had become a fortress without a fleet. When the war ended, Nagato stood as the last surviving Japanese battleship. She had outlived her sister ships, Mutsu, lost to an internal explosion, Yamato, sent to her death in a final suicide sortie, Fuso, Haruna, Kirishima, all gone. And so, in a twist of fate, she passed into the hands of the very enemy she had once been built to destroy. the United States Navy took possession of Nagato in 1946. No longer an adversary, she became an object of study, and then soon afterwards, a target. At Bikini Atoll, during Operation Crossroads, Nagato was moored among dozens of ships to test the effects of atomic bombs. The first test, an airburst, left her scorched but afloat. The second, an underwater blast, struck from below. She lingered for days, twisted and leaking, until on July 29, 1946, she finally rolled over and slipped beneath the lagoon's surface. No flags, no fanfare, and no survivors. Today, Nagato lies in silence beneath the Pacific, rusted and broken. A ship that once carried the order to begin the war, now rests as a tomb beneath the waves, a monument to ambition, to doctrine, and to the twilight of battleship supremacy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for more ships of war. Until then, goodbye and Godspeed.